All right, breaking news out of Chargers camp. The Chargers have placed Bryan Bulaga on injured reserve and Signade, according to Ian Rappaport, guard tackle Michael Schofield to take his place on the roster. Bryan Bulaga was dealing with that back injury, that groin injury. It was something that I believe, at least some combination of this, has plagued him last season, during this offseason, during the Washington football team game. And now, of course, it is plaguing him enough where he's going to be shut down. Now, the question is, how long will he be shut down for? Don't know. They haven't specified, at least at the time of recording this, they have not specified whether it's a short-term thing, a long-term thing. We don't know. Based on the way the Chargers were talking about Bulaga, it did seem like while they knew he wasn't going to play this week, that maybe he could play the following week. And honestly, with Lawrence out, Gregory out, it would have been a good game to sit him. But it looks like they're going to go with sitting him for at least those 3 next games. And then we don't know if he's going to be on there for how much longer. We don't really know. So Michael Schofield is now taking his spot on the roster. Norton is going to be the backup, well, now the starting right tackle, and Schofield's going to play somewhere at some point. Potentially, he is going to be the depth option, but I have a feeling he'll be potentially out there because injuries happen. So the Chargers did sign Schofield. We all know about Schofield. He's with the team. He was with the Broncos, I believe. Then he's with the Chargers for a couple of years and was always very solid at best, but never really super spectacular. But he was at least healthy, right? And that's very important to this team. I'm talking about Steven's tweet here now. His preferred right tackle options are Storm Norton, then Matt Filer, then Hymas, then a veteran off the street, then Schofield, and then way down there it was Trey Pipkins. I don't disagree. I don't know how the Chargers feel. The signing of Schofield does let them be flexible. So Storm Norton is obviously going to be their backup, now starting right tackle. Filer to right tackle was an option. Hymas potentially, but I don't know if I would do that immediately. I would rather put Filer at right tackle than Hymas at left guard. But Schofield does give you the flexibility to do whatever. And even though, not this one. So Schofield over the last few seasons has played a number of roles, whether that be at right tackle with the Broncos, a little bit of tackle with the Chargers, then a lot of right guard with the Chargers. And then last year with the Carolina Panthers, he was playing primarily on the left side, which he really didn't do in his career. So left tackle, left guard, right guard. So while he's not going to be a spectacular option by any means, he does give the team flexibility to move guys wherever they feel like works best. So if Storm Norton plays well, they keep things as is. If he doesn't play well, you can move Filer out to right tackle and Hymas to left guard, and Schofield is your backup. Whatever. There's a combination of things you can do with the players. I think Schofield gives you the flexibility, even if maybe he isn't a starter anytime soon. He's at least gives you the flexibility to move your starters around and guys ahead of him, and then he can just be a nice backup emergency, plug the hole in the in the leak, if you will. So I guess the big question comes down to, what do you do with Bryan Bulaga? And I mean, I think we've all been anticipating this, although the Chargers have done a really good job of explaining at least their plan for him. Unfortunately, they could not execute on that plan. And that was to keep him healthy, the same whatever plan it was in terms of reps and training camp and practice during the weeks, sort of like what he did with the Packers. Apparently that kept him healthy for 16 games. Obviously, that's not the case this year. That's not going to be the case this year. So heading into 2022, they obviously have an out there. The cap hit this year was way too expensive, and there's no way they could have I don't think there's really a good way they could have overhauled their entire offensive line this offseason. But now that they have arguably 3 pieces in place, probably potentially 4 with how well Abuji played, they can now confidently move on from Bulaga and find other options, because he's only going to have a $3.3 million cap hit next season. That's obviously not as much as $14 million or $19 million the year before. So cutting him, while it would, accumulate some dead cap, and the Chargers have been very good at not holding on to so much dead cap, it's obviously worth cutting him, because paying him or having that cap hit of $14 million is no good, no bueno. So for right now, we're looking at Norton as the right tackle. I'd love to see him do well. At the very least, if he plays well, then you don't have to hold on to Pipkins any longer. You can make Norton that swing tackle, if you will, and you can finally end that Pipkins experiment. But if he doesn't play well, that's kind of okay too, because you can at least have a backup tackle you're familiar with. I believe Norton's contract is up after this year, but I do think that, considering how they feel about him, the fact that he's stuck on the roster, that he's been with the team, that both regimes have kept him around, that they like him as a backup at least, I think they'll keep him around and re-sign him at least as a backup option next year. And unless he has a really, really good year this year, and then he demands some pretty significant money on free agency, which is possible. But for right now, Norton is that backup right tackle. Schofield is just a plug-in for this year. And then next year, they're going to go all in on right tackle. So I do not know about any of the right tackle prospects in this draft. We're going to hop right into a mock draft here. The Chargers are actually picking at 22 right now. I don't know how much that's changed. I don't believe they were picking at 22 before the season. I don't know how much of this goes off of either projections or their current standings, because the Browns lost, so they shouldn't be ahead of the Chargers. So I guess this is more Super Bowl predictions or whatever it is. I don't know. So right now, again, I don't know any of these players, but I do believe that they are going to go one of two ways in the draft. Staley obviously likes to commit to the trenches. They did that significantly, whether that was as a offensive line pick, or if it's a defensive line, or I guess I should say edge rusher pick, or signing. So you get Fackrell, you get Rumpf, then obviously you sign Lindsley, Filer, Abuji, draft Slater, draft Hymas. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go all in on the trenches this year. So they could go edge. We're just going to talk about offensive tackle right now. So at the current moment, I could not tell you who is a right tackle or who is a left tackle, or who is a left tackle that is better suited at right tackle. But the names that are popping up right here, and I'm just going to read them off. Zion Nelson from Miami. I believe that was the tackle that gave Chris Rumpf some trouble, actually. Then you have Trevor Panning from Northern Iowa, Thayer Munford from Ohio State, Sean Ryan from UCLA, Daniel Fale from Minnesota, and then Rasheed Walker from Penn State. Don't know who these guys are, but that's kind of the range. Now, considering their ranking, it's kind of unfortunate that you are not stuck. Maybe this is a good player. Maybe Zion Nelson's a good player, but you're stuck with a guy that's ranked 26th, and the next guy you could take is ranked 40th. Again, I don't know about these players. TDN is going to change quite a bit, but that's who they have right now. So if you guys have a favorite player, a favorite prospect that you'd like the Chargers to get here at 22, now personally, I hope they pick at 32. So we'll see how the season plays out. But if you have a favorite pick, favorite player that you're really hoping falls to the Chargers, or maybe the Chargers should trade up for, let me know in the comment section below. Hope everything works out for Bulaga, but it does seem like his time with the Chargers is coming to an end, sort of a la Melvin Ingram, if you will. All right, guys, take care.